I'm Matt.
Hey, I'm Steve.
Hey, I'm John.
This is the Sober Friends Podcast. We're here for the sober curious, the new guy, and the old timer. We're here to talk about the stuff anyone looking to live alcohol-free has to face day to day, and how we overcame those struggles. We speak for no 12-step group, but we do try to remain anonymous. You're not alone. This is the Sober Friends Podcast. When you put down the bottle and you have a bad day, or things are not going your way, you have to find other ways to blow off steam, to find your way through that when picking up a beer or a glass of wine or a shot was your solution. And if you're just dry and you don't have any type of program or other type of tools, that's going to be awfully hard. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, Steve. What are the things that you need to do when you have a bad day, when things go awry, that's going to help you get through so you don't have to pick up a drink? And better yet, it's not even something you think about. What works for you?
Well, let me first of all, let me tell you, go back to the time where I did pick up a drink, right? Because it was the only solution. It wasn't the only solution. I mean, but it was my number one solution for those type of days. When we have a kick in the ass type day, my solution was to get a drink of some type, whatever it was. Didn't really matter what it was, but was to get a drink. Today, there's lots of different things. You know, one of the things we have to realize is that just because we put down the drink doesn't mean we're going to have great days all the time, right? And we're going to have these days where the saying I like is sometimes I'm the hammer and sometimes I'm the nail, right? And you have those days where you're the nail and you're just getting pounded all day. Those are really, really tough days. So yeah, there's lots of different things we can do. And the other thing that you brought up was if you're dry and you have a day like that, I was dry for a long time and had days like that. Those are horrible days. I've always said that I think some of my behavior was worse when I was dry than when I was drinking, because on a day like that, I at least had a solution, right? I had a solution. I went and got a drink. But when I was dry, I didn't have that solution. So it was like, if I didn't do something else, which I wasn't doing a lot of, then I was in trouble. And I just really hurt a lot of people very close to me.
You know what it sounds like if I'm dry and I have a bad day?
What's that?
Fuck you, piece of shit!
Absolutely. That's, as funny as that is, it is so spot on. It is so spot on.
That is like if you just walk by me and say hi.
Right. No, that's just like, just stay out of the way.
I try to keep the swears down on this as much as possible to keep a clean rating. But I had a text to my wife, and the line I put in, and I was deliberate about it, is, I am not to be fucked with today. Yeah. And part of this was, it was outside of my control. So I'm going to back up. This was my bad day. There was a medicine that my doctor would like me to take. I've been taking this medicine for a number of years for depression and anxiety. He wants to change the dosage because he believes it's going to help with ADHD, which is great. Breaking it into two, take a little in the morning, take a little at night. Well, the insurance company, after many, many years, has decided they don't want to pay for this. And there's been this back and forth for a number of months. Today was D-Day. It was the first day I didn't have a dose at all. And if I go even a day without this medicine, things start to fall off. The tires fall off the car. I have these basically withdrawal symptoms from an antidepressant. My head starts buzzing. I get nauseous. I get dizzy, and I get really emotional. And I was on calls between other things I was doing at work, probably starting at 8:30 in the morning, and I didn't get things wrapped up until maybe 5:30. And this goes into this too shall pass, because I got a great solution here outside of insurance. The doctor found a Stop and Shop pharmacy that would sell it to me for cash without insurance with a coupon for $20. For $20, I can kick this problem down the road for 30 days. And we should have this ready. It turns out I finally got after I did that, the insurance finally came through. The pharmacy said it's approved. We won't have it for a week. So thank God I got this. It's the best $20 I have spent in a long time. And having it feeling like it's kicking in, like I feel normal. But being off of that, it's even worse for me because now I can't control my emotions. So there was a lot of program. There were things where I could have gone nuts on people, and probably justifiably so, and I pulled back.
Yeah, I know. For me, if I, I say it all the time. For me, if I didn't have my program, my life would be so difficult. My life was difficult because of those exact situations, right? Not every time, but enough times that when I would get in a jackpot or something like that, or something wasn't going my way, I would have very, very few skills to help me manage it properly. And typically, I was just like your little cut there said, just stay the fuck out of my way. No, really, just like stay away from me, right? I would have those days. The dogs would know to stay away from me. Everybody would know to stay away from Dad today.
You're a creep. Get away from me.
Right. And, that's no way to live. I mean, shit happens, right? And we could all have a bad day, but that doesn't mean that everybody should hide, which they did for me. Everybody would hide from me. But today we have options. We have options today. A lot of program work, meetings, if you can make them. Like, there are so many different options that we could do. One of the things, is you hear a lot of these sayings. It's really, really funny. I stumbled upon this TikTok video where this guy was going through all the cliches that they use in AA and all the meetings, all the ones you hear, meetings make or make. He was just going through them all. And but one of them is, but they make sense. And one of them is move a muscle, change a thought, right?
Yes,
and
that's a good
that's
one.
a big one. And it really is a big one. It's like, go take a walk. Go, we were talking about before, you got on that, you're probably going to go to the gym. I'm like, that's the perfect place to go. You go to the gym after we record tonight. You blow off some steam. It gives you a little chance to decompress, and hopefully you can leave it all there so you don't have to wake up tomorrow and have this hangover. Because again, that's another thing that would happen to me is I'd have a day where I had my ass kicked, and emotionally, right, I couldn't handle it, and I couldn't fix it, and I couldn't sort it out. And the next day I'd wake up, feel like, and I would literally feel like I had a hangover.
Yeah.
Like I would just be like, ugh, and hopefully you can do some work on it so you don't have to feel that way.
Also adding to this, you'll hear this much later than when we're actually taping it. But I got my COVID booster, I think, almost on the first day it was available. So I got it on September 18th, a Monday. And so on top of this, I always have these effects on the COVID booster. And for here, it felt like somebody took a chainsaw to my arm and somebody took a chainsaw to my head. But I didn't have the other symptoms I usually have. I usually am just totally laid out. For here, it was just this brutal headache that I've had for a couple days. So that doesn't help. But I had, in the past, I had no tools. So my son asked me today, hey, can we go to the gym? Can I go to the gym? And it's okay if you can't go. I think you should. That's the first time he's actually said, you don't have to, but you probably should go to the gym.
Right.
Because he was with me. I was driving him around. Is literally, I'm on the phone. I'm like driving and I'm on the phone with these people over the speaker because I got to get this done by business hours ending. Because the doctor's gone at 5.
Right.
And so he kind of heard everything. And he was also late doing something so I could get his hair cut. And he is as close to me ever taking the car and just mowing him down because he's getting in the way. And I was like, you got to communicate. I need you to text. We don't have much time. And that was the most that I raised my voice. It was just serious of you can't do this. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have done that. And that was the most I did. It wasn't me mowing him down with the car or just screaming. And even in that state, I had enough wherewithal to think program that I can't behave like a maniac, even if it's justified.
No, you can't. I mean, it's one of the things, right? If you're working a true program, a good program, the way we like to work it, you have to carry these principles throughout all of our affairs, right? So all of these things that we need to work on, we need to carry those into our everyday life. That's how we work this program. And it doesn't allow you, and again, it doesn't mean that we're perfect, doesn't mean that we don't have bad days, but it does mean that when we catch ourselves or when we know it, we really need to do something about it, right? We really okay, this shit is happening. I don't like it. I'm about ready to blow a gasket. What do I need to do, right? And it's really, it's different because in the past I was so self-centered, right, that I really didn't give a shit, right? And today I do care about the people around me and everything, and my dog, my animals. I have a dog and a cat. Like, I don't want to be having bad days and taking shit out on them just because I'm having a bad day. So I just always need to try to catch myself and figure out. And for me, a lot of times it really is just go and take a walk. It really is like, let me get out of here, take a walk, take the dog. We go for a walk, get some fresh air. And, that'll just change my frame of mind for those few minutes.
When I lose it, I'm in a bad place if I get to that place where I'm really angry because I feel like I have to lash out. It is it's a drug at that point.
Oh yeah.
I can't. It's as though I've drunk alcohol. I can't stop. This feeling of I have to lash out is such an urge, and it's so hard to get past. I try not to get to that point, but there are things that I have to do. I'm almost to the point where there are some ways I do have to speak up for myself. And I second guess it that I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings because I don't want to have to make some amends. Right. And I think there's a balance there that you do have to stick up for yourself. I try and do it in the most pleasant way possible.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned with this program is when somebody's being difficult with me today, especially if I'm in the right place, I could have a lot of empathy. I could really say, like, I don't know what's going on with this person. I'm just going to chill and try to make it easy, And I haven't always been able to do that. I've talked about it so many times. I share about it often. Is that one of the things that happened to me, and it still can to a certain extent, is that I get so angry that my anger flips to rage. And I've talked about this before.
That's for me too.
Right. And here's the scary thing that I didn't realize until I really started doing some work on it. I realized that when I'm raging, I no longer have control, right? And it's a scary thing because that's where bad things happen and life-changing things happen. I mean that. And it's like, that's where I see people like, oh, there was angry rage and they hurt somebody or killed somebody or whatever. And it's like their whole life changed, like I've been in those situations where, again, in hindsight, I look at it and go, wow, that could have ended really poorly for me. And, so it's really, really important for me today not to let myself get there. And I work really, really hard on that today. I do. And a big part of it, Matt, for me is going to meetings, and I always talk about it. I always talk about my anger. I always talk about how I'm feeling. I always talk about how, there are days where I just want to beat the living hell out of somebody. and just talking about it and bringing it out to light usually helps it dissipate. And a lot of time it hasn't gotten to the point where I want to do that, but I could just feel it building up in me.
If you're not somebody who's in a 12-step group, you're getting sober through other means. This is where a 12-step meeting can be really helpful, because even if you don't consider yourself a member of AA and you're feeling that rage and you just want to tell somebody, you can go to a meeting and say, I don't usually go to AA. I've been sober for some time with other methods, but I have lost control of my emotion and I just need someone to talk to and I needed to share it. That would be acceptable, because the only ticket to entry is the fact that you want to stay sober. Nobody can, as long as you walk in there and say, I want to stay sober. That's why I'm here. Nobody can throw you out because that's the single purpose.
I think that's a whole nother show that we should probably think about, because I actually think there's some value that even if you're getting sober through other means, through other either through other programs or through other communities, knowing that you could go to an AA meeting on occasion I think it's a great thing to do. And you don't even have to say I'm getting sober somewhere else. All you got to do is raise your hand and say, hey, I'm Steve and I'm an alcoholic, right? That's it. And then you do your sharing. And if you want to tell somebody afterwards on a one-on-one, I'm not doing AA, then that's fine. But I wouldn't. I'll be honest with you. I would not even bring that up if I went to a meeting. I would just show up, raise your hand. I'm an alcoholic. And then if you got some shit to share it. Or maybe, you just talk to somebody afterwards. But again, that brings us back to always having that community, because if you're getting sober, you should have a community, right? So if you have a community, then you should use that community. And if all this shit's hitting the fan, you should be talking to somebody, right? You should be talking to somebody. And that's the beauty of our program, is that, when the shit hits the fan for me, I'm talking to somebody, that's for sure.
I have a friend who is not an AA person, has gone on from time to time, sort of like, I want to check it out, but it's not their thing. I talk to this person all the time and listen to this person with their issues because it helps me. It's sort of a little AA meeting that we're having that the other person doesn't really realize. And I put myself in check around, where can I be helpful? Where can I be a guiding hand to help this person just getting through their problems? And I share my own, and it's reciprocal where I get help back. That is something that helps me. One of those things that if you're having a bad day and you're about to have some rage, picking up the phone, texting somebody is something you should do. You need to be vulnerable with somebody else. I did not want to go to that Monday meeting. It was raining outside and I just wasn't in the mood. And there were other things I needed to get done, but I went. And thank God I did, because there was very few people there. A couple more people are not there and there's no meeting. Somebody sat next to me who got who was sober like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Somebody got a 6-month chip. I was giving away the chips. We don't give away too many chips. I gave away a chip. So it's a reminder that when I'm feeling that way, I had that feeling that I'm going in there, I see one car. It's good that I came here. There's probably going to be something that happens that I needed to be here even when I had to drag my ass in there. Yeah. And it was good that I did. I feel better when I have helped somebody else.
Let me tell you, it was a small meeting. Mike and I, when we showed up there, we were looking at it, and I was saying, well, I could tell right away when we pulled up, nobody was there. It's going to be a light meeting tonight. And you're right. And I said to him, he's like, well, if it's just us two, he's already planning ahead. And I'm like, we'll just hang out. If it's just us, we'll just hang out for a while, because you never know. And that person who had 2 weeks came in late, right? Which is not unusual for somebody who's got 2 weeks sobriety. They came in, 5 minutes after the meeting. So, and I said, we always want to be here for somebody who might need a meeting. And that person needed a meeting. And not only they hung around, we talked, we found out after the meeting, because they were late, they missed all the announcements, that they didn't have a big book. So I went back, I got them a big book. They have a big book now. And they were very pleased. And I said, and I invited them back. I'm like, please come back. We would like to be part of helping you with your problem, right? We're not going to fix it for you, but we would like to be part of that. And hopefully they'll come back. But, 2 weeks sobriety, sometimes it's a crapshoot. Who knows?
Most people, when they come in, they're brand new. You almost, if you were a betting man, you would bet that I'll never see this person again. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a special thing when they do come back and you see their growth.
No, so I was happy I was there Monday too. And
Mike dressed up, so there was that added bonus.
What's that? Oh,
Mike was all dressed up.
Mike was dressed up. He was good. He was our chairperson, so it's always good. It's a good night. But
I will tell you something else that helps is something that he did, which is he made everybody share. It was a small group, so we had to go around the room, and I told Mike, hearing the different voices of those people who usually don't speak, but because they had to, I heard different things from people who normally don't speak up, and they had something to say.
Yeah.
I will tell you, in those days where there is rage, one of the tools is shut up and listen to somebody else. They may have something that you need to hear in the moment.
You know what the best share, now again, we're sort of a little off track here, but maybe not. Maybe because if you...
No, I'm keeping on track. These are things you can do when you're having a crappy day.
One of them is go to the meeting. But one of the best things I heard Monday night was the person who got the 6 months chip. That person shared, and it was the biggest and best share that they've been coming to this meeting for several months now, and it was the best share. And I was like, wow, that was really, really good. And like you said, it was really good because maybe they would and maybe they wouldn't have, right? Depending. And Mike did it, and it was a small enough group just to go around like, hey, just go in a circle. Everybody will share. When everybody's done sharing, we'll end the meeting, And it worked out fine.
That person was vulnerable, brand new, was really vulnerable and emotional. And it was an example of life wasn't great. At the moment, life was not good in that moment. There was pain. But there were tools to get through it. If you have nothing else from listening to this, don't think that if you're newly sober, life is going to be great. I'm not saying your life is going to be terrible. Life is, there's good days, there's bad days. You can't have a great day and a great day that you remember for the rest of your life if every day is like that. There has to be boring days, mediocre days, and really awful days because you need something to compare it to. You have the ability to have those awful days with a bunch of little tools that will just get you through. And it is okay to say, well, I'm having this awful day. I'm just managing. I must be doing this wrong because I felt that way. I looked at the grizzled old timers and said, you've been 30 years sober. They must not have days like me. They must be able to handle everything because I hear them talk in these meetings and they have the answer for everything. And the truth was, if you pull them aside, that's not true at all. No. Sometimes they're just getting by, but it's a victory that you're just getting by. Are you sober? Yeah. Okay. Then you were successful. But I feel like I'm just holding it together. It's okay. Just holding it together successful because that's what you needed to stay sober today. Right. Lower the bar on what success looks like.
Yeah, you got to redefine success sometimes, right? And, my buddy Keith, who I don't see as much anymore, always used to say, if you stayed sober today, you're a success in the most important part of your life. And, again, when I first came in, I would hear that and go, I don't know. I should be a husband. I should be a father. And then, it took me a while, but I realized that that's the truth. If I stayed sober today and didn't hurt anybody, then I was, success in the biggest part of most important part of my life. And that's the truth. The other thing, Matt, what we can do when we're having a crap day is, and don't ever discount this, is sometimes it's just easy. I mean it. Just go to bed if you can. And I mean it. Just like as soon as you get done with your day, if that's what it is, like go to bed, take a nap, go to sleep. Like that's another thing where if it's happening, like just try to relax. And obviously for us, there's lots of other things. There's meditation, right? The other thing, I want to do more and more meditation.
I'm terrible at it.
Me too. And that's the perfect thing, right? If you're disciplined and you can do it, you're starting to feel that way, sit down, you could probably do a 5-minute meditation and hopefully it could change the way you're feeling at that moment.
It's very hard for me because I have ADHD and I'm realizing that's why I can't sit still, that there actually is a medical reason. On the flip side, you're listening out there and you're saying, if you actually meditated, you would help your ADHD, you fool. Shut up and do some meditation. It'll help you. Not so easy to take advice sometimes because I'm a bullheaded alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it's just the way I am. Yeah, that big book is a recipe book. It's a Betty Crocker book for living. I know people at work that I'm dealing with right now in a very difficult work environment who I don't think have a drinking problem, but I don't see a lot of emotional sobriety in some of the stuff that they're saying.
Yeah, struggles are not unique just to alcoholics, right? Other people struggle, and not everybody. We talk about it, that we have a program that helps us figure out how to deal with our struggles, and not everybody does, and not everybody does. And that's the other thing I've realized, is that I have to pay attention to the fact that I have tools that I can use, and not everybody has those tools. And I have a lot of empathy. My wife and I were talking about a situation with a friend, a friend who took off and went to visit some friends up in Maine, and she's got a couple cats at home, and she has a sister who lives close by, and her sister wouldn't take care of the cats, and this woman's daughter had to come home from New York. She works in New York, to do that for her, and my wife was all torn up about it, and I'm like, why are you bothered by that, right? Like, my question to her was, why does that bother you? That's happening. It's not your family, right? It's nothing. It's like, why does that bother you? Like, maybe she doesn't want to clean out the litter box. She doesn't like cats, And it's like, today I could look at that and have like an objective position on it and say, why worry about it? It's not, it's not my problem. I couldn't always do that. I would always take on the weight of other people's problems too.
This was the same friend I told you that is not part of AA, that I helped this person with issues, said something about the things we can't control, or, I know where I was going with this, saying yes to everything, knowing when to say no. I'm terrible at that. Yeah. It's very difficult for me to say no. And I said no to something today. I'm like, I want to take this extra thing on. I really should take a break. I do a lot of extra things. That's one of those things that'll get you out of a jam. Sometimes it's overcommitting. I see the fairness aspect of that woman wouldn't go take care of the cat. And it feels like this is not fair. That person's selfish.
Right.
That person should be thinking more of other people. Yep. There's somebody in need you can't help. And it never occurred to me, maybe they have a cat allergy. Maybe they don't like cleaning a box.
That's why I said it. They don't. But it doesn't even matter, right? It's like maybe she just doesn't want to, right? Whatever. And I get it. Like, listen, I have a cat. I don't want to go into the whole story. It's not even my cat. We agreed to take this cat in, and it's just the way it goes. I knew that was going to become my job, right? So I am the one who cleans out the litter box and does the. And I didn't sign up for it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, let's bring the cat in, I'll take care of it. It wasn't like that at all. But it's just the way it is today. And but I get that some people probably don't want to do that, And again, I don't. The biggest thing for me is like, I don't want to waste time on that. I don't want to waste emotional energy on something that doesn't impact me at all. And again, that's something I've learned, and I don't have to worry about today.
It's in conflict when I feel that way with probably my own character defect. I find it's something about me that bothers me, or I got feedback on in the past. So when somebody doesn't do that thoughtful thing that I think I would do, it really does say more about me. And I need to steer clear, because that could be the thing that puts me in a position where I lose control. Well, I hope this has helped everybody. Again, I find my favorite episodes are the ones where I have incredible pain that I have to share with you, so you don't have to go through the same pain. Or if you get in that position, there's a couple tools that can help you through it. I have actually a review. I want to go over a review that we have from a listener, because I've asked you to give us reviews on Apple Podcasts. And if you're going to take the time to give us a little bit of feedback, I'm going to give you a shout out for doing the right thing.
You sent me one. I can read it. I'm going through a really low point. Is that the one you sent me? That one. Between jobs, uncertainty, and divorce, these guys and their podcasts have been preservers for me. If you're struggling, your mind is working overtime to undermine your sobriety, the encouragement from this podcast can be a refuge between. That's where it ends for me. So anyway, 5-star review. It calls a necessity is the top of that one. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting reviews. We're getting people listening. Send us a review. Give us a 5-star review. Send us your thoughts. If you have an idea of talking about a topic, send us that too.
We would love to get your feedback. Every time you have a review, we read it because it's your feedback. But if you've got a topic, somebody has a topic around atheist or non-God AA, and I think I have read that incorrectly, or I'm remembering that incorrectly, but it was non-God AA, the idea of people who do not believe in God. What is there to talk about in a higher power? And I want to research that a little bit more. I think that is a really interesting topic to help people who are in that position, where the whole God thing might not be something that attracts you. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Steve. I hope this has helped everybody.
My pleasure, Matt.
And we'll see everybody next week. Bye, everybody. You made it this far into the podcast. That tells me you're a pretty big fan. If you like what we do and you find value in the podcast, consider a donation at buymeacoffee.com/soberfriendspod. Your donation keeps us on the air to help out the new guy and helps us defray some of our costs. If you find value in our podcast, please consider a donation at buymeacoffee.com/soberfriendspod.